line. Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, I'll diss my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Yeah. There's no mercy in this world, just hunger-thirsty persons in different versions. Each new update, that shit worsens. Why? Pull back the curtain and you'll see the different vermin. We all have different burdens that all seem to cause disturbance. Yo, so do me a favor, don't treat me like a neighbor. Don't need the different flavors of your problems just to savor. I've got my own issues, I need a comb to get through. Don't need to groan with you, just go get your own tissue.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Yo, what is going on, everybody? So welcome to another episode of the Philly Sports Talk Podcast Afternoon Show, episode 18. But before we get into it, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that and ring that notification bell so you guys will not miss the upcoming content. Oh, snap. Good shit. But before we get into it, yeah, man, crazy. You know, this show has so far we're up to 18 episodes of the show. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. Regarding to the MLB and sometimes the NBA. Hardly any NBA news this week. And then we got some college football news and stuff like that. But with that being said, let's just kind of get right into our first thing. Was the Eagles 11-1 start? So I'm impressed. I'm really impressed with how this team has been playing so far in terms of what they'd be able to accomplish, especially at 11-1. Now, granted, would it be easier? Would it be cool to see them undefeated? Absolutely. But, you know, no team can go undefeated. I mean, the last time team ever did that was the 1972 Miami Dolphins. And quite frankly, you know, I mean, Hurts is playing out of his mind, you know, making an argument for the MVP. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people there's going to be some of those Patrick Mahomes dick riders, but, you know, look, I know Mahomes has got more touchdowns and stuff like that, but you have to look at the other statistics, you know, quarterback rating, stuff like that. Like, Hurts is pretty much leading in those categories over Patrick Mahomes. And, you know, it's going to be a very close MVP race. I know that for a fact. And, you know, the Eagles are just doing they're just taking care of business. You know, we thought, you know, when they ran into the Tennessee Titans this past week, most of us thought, you know, Derrick Henry's we're gonna see we're seeing opposing fan bases say, Henry's gonna run all over you guys. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Apparently, we held him to, 11 carries for 30 yards. I mean, only the leader rusher was Ryan Tannehill for 34, but that's all the Titans were able to manage because like I said, our run defense has been playing some pretty solid football. The defensive end, plus on having to get Jordan Davis back. Now next week we're getting Avonte Maddox back, so we actually opened up a practice window with him, and that's going to be fun to see. And then the following week, we should be getting Goddard back from the IR in the following week at the same time. Let me just change the background here. But be quite honest with you guys, it's just like I said, it's been a really good start for the Eagles this season so far. 11-1 through their first 12 games. It's just now. I mean, obviously we got the Giants coming up. I think we should be able to take care of the Giants. Kind of how we took care of the pretty much take care of the Titans. Just try to limit the run, and just play smart football. That's just the only thing I want to see this team do is just clean up the penalties. But other than that, though, I do think this team can really beat the Giants. That's for sure. And then obviously, and then we got I think Dallas. No, yeah, we got Chicago. I think we got Chicago the following week. Which I will be live for that game. And I think we should be getting Goddard back at the same time in that time frame. So either way, we're getting most of our guys back healthy, except for Gardner Johnson, from what I've been told, has been, he's going to be on IR, but he's going to be back by week 17. So really, it's not really going to hurt us much. But I do feel like, I think losing Gardner Johnson kind of sucks. But Lancashire's really taken this most out of this opportunity to be that backup guy to Gardner Johnson, and really has filled out pretty nice. Has made some very crucial plays the last, let's say, 3 weeks, maybe, give or take, in a short time span. Obviously, picked up Aaron Rodgers during their time in Green Bay, even though that game was a lot closer than it should have been. But that's besides the point. And it's just. Like I'm just really impressed with you have some of these guys that are just making the most out of their opportunities. And but I'll tell you what is good, my guy. What is good. But overall, though, 11-1 could be 12-1 by the start of next after this week against the Giants. We'll see how that goes. But going forward, so another thing I want to let's maybe blow some steam off is ESPN is having the Dallas Cowboys at 50% of winning the Super Bowl. Now, boy, where do I begin with that one? Let's be real. I think Dallas is a good team, but yeah, I'll take this into consideration, the fact that, unless you have Mike McCarthy as a coach, no matter how good your team is, I think Mike McCarthy is one of those coaches that will bring a team down. And we looked at last year. I mean, that last play against the 49ers in the wild card game, well, it kind of did show. And, beating them with the rivalry that we are, and, with the Cowboys, which has always been our longest going one outside the others, Washington and the Giants, but that's besides the point. But really, I don't think Dallas is very. I think Dallas has a less than the 50% chance. For me, I think somewhere like the low 20s. Just because, I mean, look, they have a good team. They got a good defense. At times their offense can sputter at times. But then again, it still shows the narrative that the ESPN, which, let's be real, ESPN has kind of dropped off in quite some time because, they got, like I said, I even said this too, to many people. And, I think a couple times on like Twitter or something like that, or in, a couple of my colleague streams that, ESPN's got a bunch of Dallas dick riders. And, the fact they want to count out the birds, this is and that's the issue I take with, and I think ESPN, and you look at 27, let's go back to 2017. Remember, they also counted the Eagles out and not win it, or not really making the far through the playoffs. And what happens? We win the Super Bowl, the whole damn thing. So who's to say, the Eagles might take that as kind of like motivation, say, look, you want to count us out? Then screw it. Then we'll show you that we're still one of the better teams in the NFL. Let's be real, probably one of the better divisions in football outside the AFC East. But that's just the way that I see it. It just, Dallas just has really not been, they're just getting a lot of favoritism because it's like, oh, you got look, CeeDee Lamb's playing some solid football. So is Michael Gallup when healthy, which he has been surprisingly staying healthy, knocking on wood, but it's hard to really don't want to wish injury upon a player, but I mean, it is what it is. But it's funny to me that Dallas gets a high percentage chance of winning the Super Bowl. Let's be real. I mean, the ownership. I mean, look, Jerry Jones is still senile. The Jones family hasn't really done, let's be real, enough, I would say, to really get them over the hump. Because, like I said, quite frankly, the only time ever they had they had like two solid head coaches in the franchise history: Tom Landry and Jimmy Johnson. Both won their 5 Super Bowls, and as since then they've just been, let's be real, they made the playoffs more than a handful of times, but they really haven't made it to either the NFC Championship in, let's be real, quite some time, and the Super Bowl in the last 25 years. And I don't know, I just don't see Dallas at a 50% chance because just Dallas doesn't really know how to win when it really counts. That's all I'm saying. And like I said, this also ties back to when you have a Mike McCarthy as a head coach. I mean, if you look at this during his time in Green Bay, outside of after 2010, Blake Harmon kind of really shit the bed a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's just ESPN. You really start putting some respect on the Eagles because, and that's another thing too that I want to kind of get off my chest. The fact is, people say, we haven't really played up to any competitions. Like, I'm thinking to myself, we played the Vikings, who were 8-1 at the time, or I think 6-1 or 6-0. I think coming in, handed their first loss at home, kind of like how we did it in 2017. We put a beat down on them, which we did at home. Then we completely blew out the Titans 35-10. So you can't tell me that we don't play well against better competition. It is what it is. Look, we're 11-1. It is what it is. People have to realize that. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And to be quite honest, it's kind of getting very tiresome. It really is. Just because, I'm kind of really getting tired of the fact that, the Eagles are so kind of constantly getting disrespected. And, let's be real, some Cowboys fans are kind of fucking delusional as hell. And I know there's one in particular. I'm not going to name drop, but I know some people that I know personally who I'm kind of talking about. It's just just want to talk all this shit because, you put, and this is another thing too, which I want to talk about. Cowboys fans, and there's some good ones too that I'm very good personal friends with, but others are just fucking delusional. The fact that it says, this is our year, the fact that you put up almost 60 points on a shit Colts team. But yeah, and see, that's where the narrative changes. When it comes to us, blowing up bad teams, yeah, we always get the narrative say, we don't play anybody up to competition standards, but that's besides the point. But for me, it's just the Eagles, not just the Eagles, but just all the NFL teams in general. If they have say 4 or 5 bad teams on their schedule, let's say 5 teams per se, right? Let's take the Kansas City Chiefs, who can blow up 5 of them, right? But there's no narrative surrounding the Kansas City Chiefs. We say, you got Patrick Mahomes and all this crap. Look, we know that Patrick Mahomes is good. Don't get me wrong. I think he's still a top 5 quarterback in this league. Hands down. And there's going to be that one group that are going to say, you blew up bad teams. It's have you ever played someone up to your competition standards, up to what the standards of the Kansas City Chiefs has, who's been to the Super Bowl 2 or 3 times? What has won one? Let's be, I shouldn't have won 2, but that's besides the. Or actually, no, I say 1, 2. I'm talking that thing with the 49ers, but you kind of get where I'm going with this. Is that NFL teams do not have control of what they have, what's going on in their schedule. That's on the NFL. the NFL and the schedule makers, they're the one who's kind of put the schedule out in front. If you just take care of business, know if it's team's good, bad, or just downright fucking awful, a win is a win, or if you lose, it's a loss. A loss is a loss, no matter how you look at it. If it's good, bad, ugly, whatever. This is where I kind of hate this kind of narrative. It's like, well, mostly around Philly, because that's just kind of how it is. Because Philly never gets any fucking respect because, because I mean, like I said, you got Kansas City Dick, you got Patrick Mahomes Dick Riders. And listen, I appreciate what Patrick Mahomes has done, especially at this part of his career. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, shit, you got Cowboys. Former Cowboys are just kind of smoking crack. Like Michael Irvin, for example, says, the Cowboys are a better team in the NFL. Honestly, I think they're the second best team second best. I think they're still a lot better than than what the Vikings show, in terms of talent. But the way that I see it is like I think the Cowboys are the second best team in the NFL. Behind Minnesota, definitely behind Kansas, ahead of Minnesota, and definitely ahead of Kansas City. Now, where Kansas City is a little bit different because. No, Kansas City, yes, they have been there and done that a couple more than a handful of times. They got Patrick Mahomes, even though they don't have Tyreek Hill, and they're still winning games because it really shows that Patrick Mahomes can do a lot without Tyreek. And that's really what's showing. With MVS, Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce, pretty much not only the leading receiver. Decent running game with Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire if he doesn't fumble the football, which kind of Hilaire's kind of been known for most of the time. And, well, that depends on who you're asking. Depends on the conference. And, and college football, too. That's another thing, too, which, I will agree to disagree to a certain extent. There are certain conferences that do have a cupcake schedule. I think the Big Ten is a perfect example that has a cupcake schedule with, Michigan, Ohio State. I think the only conference I know that's been very competitive is the Big 12 with TCU and Kansas State and stuff like that. Now, and you looked at TCU's schedule. Now, granted, there were some teams that should have beaten TCU, but however, TCU, really showed the resiliency. I really do think at the same time. And and you can also make the same argument with the ACC, even though the ACC has somewhat decent competition, but it's not like where it's like the SEC, where it's consistently competitive with Alabama, LSU, and many others. And that kind of gets me into the next thing, with my Clemson Tigers, and also an ACC team, but. Well, the one thing about it is it's like the college football. Well, and that's another thing too. Like college football is the same way. They can't really control of who they have in front. If you just take care of business one game at a time, it is what it is. Now, obviously, this all applies to, and now we see Michigan kind of get some shit because of their schedule. Same with Ohio State. Yeah, that's just the way that's what happens. Now, sticking with the ACC and asking my Clemson Tigers, I talked to my buddy Tyler, who should be coming on the show a little bit shortly. I think he's about running late. The one thing I want to talk about is DJ. I'm just gonna say DJU because this is why sometimes I hate Polynesian last names because they're just really fucking hard to pronounce. But former Clemson quarterback DJ Ukulele decides to go into the transfer portal. And I talked to Tyler about this too. And, at this point, we just, as the Clemson part of the Clemson fan base, we just kind of had it with DJ. Because DJ, I mean, if you looked at some of the games that he's played, he has shown flashes to be a good quarterback, but most of the time, he plays like he's fucking scared. And, it got to, especially in the ACC, in the title game against North Carolina, Dabo just, what up, Randy? What is good, my guy? Dabo Swing decides to pull the trigger and put in Cade Klubnik, And, Klubnik won the title game for the Clemson Tigers. Now we're going to play the Orange Bowl with the Tennessee Volunteers, which is probably one of our better competition that we faced. I mean, look, I'll give a lot of props to Florida State, who gave us a run for our money. Same with Syracuse. I still can't trust Notre Dame. Notre Dame's still let's be probably one of the most overrated college football teams of all time. I think another team that's been very competitive is Wake Forest. And the fact that it took us double overtime to beat Wake Forest, that should, people want to keep clowning on the ACC, they don't have competition. You'd be surprised. You really would be surprised with some of these teams in the ACC that are very competitive. Like I said, Syracuse. I thought we were going to lose because I had Clemson losing to Syracuse as one of our 2 losses. They want to beat Syracuse. Florida State. I had us losing to Florida State. They beat Florida. They come out with a comeback win over Florida State. Now, the only loss that is still going to bug me going into probably the next season is the Notre Dame loss. Because Notre Dame, let's be real, after Brian Kelly left, they really ruined our chances to make the playoffs. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And to be quite honest, it's embarrassing to say the least. We lost 35-13 to an unranked Notre Dame team. And the fact that, really it's really fucking annoying. It's still, to be quite frankly, it's ridiculous. But that's besides the point. But like I said, DJ Uiagalelei is going into the transfer portal. The question is, where's he going to go? That's up for him to decide. But as Clemson Tigers, some of the Clemson Tigers, myself, my buddy Tyler, we wanted somebody fresh to really, let's be real, that has, can actually win games. And DJ has done that. Granted, he's finished with over 2,500 yards, but I just feel like we need more because, if you really think about it, Clemson has, actually produced some really decent and some really good NFL talent. Hunter Renfrow. I mean, let's be real, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams, if he can, for the love of God, can't stay healthy. But yeah, so. I mean, we just saw that Cade McNamara also going to the transfer portal, going to Iowa. For the love of God, I think he could have been. Because to be honest, with some of these transfer portals, I mean, if I was Cade McNamara, I would go somewhere competitive. Actually, go for a playoff contender, not a team like Iowa, who, quite frankly, has been. The last couple of years I've seen Iowa football has not been the best, but I mean, more power to them. But I don't know. But that's just how I feel about it. But another thing, too, is, like I said, man, college football, man, it's been actually pretty fun this year. Even though, thank God, the founding committee actually came to our fucking senses and actually keep Alabama out. Because let's be real. Because, I mean, there were many teams that I think can be a lot more deserving than Alabama. Because I think, and one gripe, and which I can get behind, was it's kind of getting tiresome to see, the same matchups, I think, the last 2 years between Georgia and Alabama. It was kind of getting really tiresome. But Georgia, I don't mind seeing the postseason consistently because they're still a consistent good team. But outside of that, I mean, I don't know if it's, for me, I just don't think Ohio State for me is really worthy. I mean, Michigan, I think you could definitely make the argument. It could be back and forth. I mean, they did play Purdue in the title game. And Purdue hasn't really been the best in college football the last, I would say, a couple of years. But, I mean, that's just how I feel about it. But, so we're right down to the 4 teams in the postseason. Georgia, TCU, Ohio State, and Michigan. And then, like TCU, man, I mean, especially the kind of season that they had. I think that was a one team. Like I said, I even said this TCU team, yeah, they may not be nothing special, but I still think they still know how to play some solid football, and that's kind of what they did. I mean, had some close games where, to be honest, they should have 3 or 4 losses, but they wound up pulling out and getting some W's over teams like Kansas, like Kansas. Definitely fucking Baylor, for crying out loud. Pull off a last-second field goal and wins it for them. But that's just how. I mean, it's just been causing. We thought the NFL was unpredictable, but we've seen teams really just come out of the woodworks and just really show it. But the next thing I want to kind of go into, but before we go into it, The Philly Sports Style Podcast Afternoon Show is sponsored by SeatGeek. Let's take it away. Have you thought about saving money on tickets, whether it's sporting events, concerts, wrestling events, etc.? Use my promo code Philly Sports at checkout to save $20 off your order. That is PHILLYSPORTS, Philly Sports, to save $20 off. That is correct. Make sure you use my promo code Philly Sports. That is all capital letters, PHILLYSPORTS at checkout to save $20 off your first order. We are officially sponsored with SeatGeek, so you guys don't want to miss out on the amazing deal. Also, check out the link to the merch shop down below. You want to copy yourself some Philly Sports Talk podcast. The link is down in the description. But going no further, we're sticking with going back right to the NFL. Then we're pulling up our picks and predictions for NFL Week 14. And yeah, let's kind of get right into it. So the first game on the marquee is the 5-7 Raiders take on the 3-9 Rams. Now the Rams coming into this one, obviously picking up Baker Mayfield off waivers. I know from what there's been a lot of rumblings that he might get the start, and I think he may sign already with the Rams. And the Rams have just been a complete fucking mess so far up this point in the season. Just because, I mean, you're not going to have Aaron Donald. I think he ruled him out. Stafford, for the love of God, I mean, at some point might be forced into retirement early. It's just you already lost. I mean, look, when you get, like I said, and this is back to what I said earlier in the past. You know, when Andrew Whitworth retired, that's when their entire O line took a hit. You know, Cam Akers finally start to show up. Apparently, you know, about time. Cooper Kupp, I don't know exactly what his injury status is. Allen Robinson is nowhere to be fucking found. Sean McVay, I think his coaching should be called into question because, good Lord, you know, and this is probably like one of the worst Super Bowl hangovers that I've ever seen a team really go through. And, you know, the one comparison is like, yeah, you know, we have done it once before. We did and the Rams kind of put themselves in, let's be real, purgatory for the next, let's say, couple of years. What I mean by that is, I mean, the fact that they gave up what up, Chad? Like I said, that's another good point too. Like, this is the one game that I don't like. Most of us here on the Hardcore Sports don't really want to pick. But for me, I went with the Raiders because I'm going to try to keep feeding the hot hand. I mean, Josh Jacobs is pretty much must be real, make it a statement to get paid. I would think he has like over 1,100 rushing yards, so could be slightly getting close to 1,200. But at this point, man, like, even though I hate having to pick this game because I don't like the Rams, the Raiders still stink. Oh, absolutely. Because I feel like I said, if you don't pay Josh Jacobs, you are right. But then again, this is the problem with the Raiders. If you said all this, you're still paying for John Gruden's contract and you fired him. I don't know exactly how much you're paying Josh McDaniels' contract. You have a lot of your wage, most of your first round picks. So either way, you pretty much you set yourselves back for like about a year or so. But then again, it can't be worse than the Rams, who kind of, let's be real, have their first round pick owed by the Lions, who, let's be real, you know, for a team that we thought could have been a lot better than what the record shows, they're still in the playoff line. And who would have thought? Absolutely. I mean, the fact that they're going to have a couple guys out later tonight, which I'll be live for that game as well. It's just, yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. But like I said, I'm going to take the Raiders, who says, you know, keep feeding the hot hand on a 3-game winning streak, and the fact that they're still in talks of a playoff picture, which is fucking insane to really think about, because, you know, most of us, we looked like idiots for overhyping the Raiders. But we'll see. We'll see come game time. Then we got the AFC matchup between the 7-5 Jets and the 9-3 Buffalo Bills. So I want the Bills because if they're going to still have Mike White's been kind of, I would say, inconsistent. But I mean, with the good defense that the Jets have, but I still think that's not enough to really beat the Bills. Now, granted, they did beat the Bills early in the season. Oh, well, we'll get to the Broncos in just later in this picks and predictions. But like I said, the Buffalo Bills, I think they realize, obviously Allen didn't really play really well against the Jets the first time. And Josh Allen, though, man, it's been one heck of a story. You know, after having a couple good years the last 2 years, but for some reason has a decent year, but man, just took a whole 180. And you have, which for me, well, like, and I've said this too, I had Josh Allen as a front runner for the MVP. But unfortunately, that looked like a complete moron for that. I think most people would have, have Josh Allen for MVP. But to be honest, I do not know anymore. I really don't. Just because, just how everything has turned out to be. But I'm still going to go with the Bills. I think they're still a better team. Yes, but you also got to think too. Let's see. We're going to get to the next thing after this. Oh well, let's talk about the NCAA championship game, or kind of predicting who's going to win it all. But I think it's going to be very close because you also got to think you got Jalen Hurts kind of right now. I think right now sitting out in the front runner for the MVP because you got Mahomes nipping at the heels, and because there's also certain categories that Mahomes is second to third in. Mostly second because Hurts is just having a much better year than Patrick Mahomes, and this is not just having just for bias, but we're just seeing what we have on paper, and that's what ties it to the fact that especially since they lost the third straight matchup to the Cincinnati Bengals that dates back to last year in the playoff in the AFC title game. Like it's crazy to beyond belief. But then again, it also ties to the fact that the Chiefs defense isn't good as people make it out to be. I think George Karlaftis has really, let's be real, I'm going to say he's a bust, but it's kind of too early to say. But it really hasn't really been good. But I think there's a lot of stuff he can get cleaned up. I thought Trent McDuffie had a solid season, but just the entire defense hasn't really been, let's be real, been great in terms of what they have. But that's besides. But I'm still sticking with the Bills. I don't think the Jets are going to sweep the Bills. I would be shocked if they do it, but Mike White, for me, like I said, it's been very inconsistent that he's going to have one good game, one bad game. What is good? But yeah, I think the better team wins. The Buffalo Bills set at 10-3, and that drops the Jets at 7-6. But the next game we got on the card, oh good lord, did we really have to do this? I picked the Bengals just because, let's be real, Browns still stink. Deshaun Watson looked absolutely horrible. I'll be quite honest, not looking great for the well, let's be real, the Bengals the Bengals, like I said, the only thing is, like, every time what I think I just count the Bengals away from is their O-line, but so far though, you have an opportunity to take over the NFC or AFC North, because we'll get to the Ravens. Because when we get to the Ravens, because good lord, there's a lot of things I got to say about the Ravens. Because oh boy, because man, the Ravens are just very disappointing. But I took the Bengals. I think it's Joe Burrow. They're going to get Joe Mixon back. I think they're going to really start clicking on all cylinders down the stretch. And with the Browns, obviously coming off probably the worst football games I've ever seen. And also think of the two are good. They didn't even have Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase. Now they're going to get Joe Mixon back. That could switch up a little bit. But I still believe in the Bengals more than I do the Browns, because good lord, do I even believe in Joe Woods' defense? Absolutely not. But honestly, this was a no-brainer. It was the Dallas Cowboys, because you're taking on the damn Houston Texans, the Battle of Texas. Let's be real. I think the Dallas is probably let's be real. I would say, with the rivalry aside, I think Dallas, for me, should be the face of when it comes to the NFL in Texas. They're just the better Texas football team. And that's really kind of the last 3 to 5 years given this at this point. But that's just me. from what I've seen so far, especially during their time as longtime rivals. But I went the Cowboys because let's be real, the Texans are still tanking because Hal Allen still stinks. Davis Mills ain't it. They still got to keep building from the ground up. I mean, you shouldn't, but at some point, like, and me and my grandfather actually were talking about this too. The fact you put off 54, which is great, impressive, but at some point, like, you have to realize too, you have to really. It's just like, what happened to like the good sports? Like, if you're like blowing out a team like by a certain margin, I think at this point you should really start taking out your starters and just use your backups. That's what I would. Oh, and speaking of which,
Yo, I just took me the best nap ever. Came in 30 minutes late. Dang.
But yeah, so
you don't have to go through all that. We already did the picks.
Oh, you did the picks? Well,
yeah,
I'm just kind of doing my, because I think the one game that's going to be very interesting, I would say, matchup wise, is probably the Vikings and Lions. Now I know people are saying, the Vikings are going to win, but really, do you really want to count out the Detroit Lions and what the kind of team that they have?
They did whoop on a good team this year, so it wouldn't be shocking if they did run the table. I honestly have them winning out, except for that last game.
Yeah, that last game is always that
last game. That last game's kind of iffy for me.
And if they finish 9-8 and actually clinch a playoff spot,
that's a huge plus.
That really is a huge plus. I mean, you would think for a team that, let's be real, we thought this team could have been a lot better than what the record showed. We thought this team could have won 9-10 games at least.
Yeah, I was expecting this team, the ballpark, to be 9-10 games, but they kind of underperformed early in the season because of the coaching. The coaching was not able to close games out. I feel like Dan Campbell has finally learned how to coach, close games out.
I mean, they actually been in some really good games so far this year. I mean, let's be real. I'll get the benefit where credit is due. The fact that they battled tremendously against a good team in the Buffalo Bills on Thanksgiving, unfortunately lost by a field goal. That's really nothing to hang your heads on, man. You've really
and that's part of the reason why I said they struggled closing games out, because they could have potentially closed that one out.
Absolutely.
And they didn't. They could have closed that one out for sure.
But if you think about this too, if you want, like, to say hypothetically, if they went out, that could be their first winning season since, let's be real, since 2014. They really think about it. That was the last time they had their winning season. And for those who don't know, the last time they ever coach they had a winning season, that was great Jim Caldwell before they fired his ass.
And the thing is, because
of another point. That's another thing with the people want to keep, say, we can't look at and see, this is where this is what I haven't really said, but I'm going to say this now. Look, the Vikings are a good team. That's the only issue I have with them. Because if you looked at the Jets game, they almost completely collapsed against the Jets. When the Jets were 7-5, but I mean, it's just.
Did they have Zach Wilson on the field then?
They had Mike White.
No, not. He's on par as slightly better than Zach Wilson, but
at best, Mike White's just your average backup. That's all he is at this point.
He'll give you maybe one or two good games, and then he'll fall.
He's just inconsistent. That's what I said. It's just And I'm not hate the guy, but it's just what he is. I mean, I've seen backups worse than Mike White. Let's keep it a buck here.
I've seen backups who are just as like Mike White that are dominating. Look at Geno Smith. He was inconsistent for most of his career.
Everybody counted his ass out.
He goes to
Seattle.
Seattle. Everybody's counting him out. Oh, he's gonna suck there. He's found the system that's worked for him.
I mean, look, Pete Carroll, I think, has done a really good job with him, especially with the coaching staff. And the fact that, people say, oh, Seattle's going to suck this year and not make the postseason.
I was one of those people.
I was one of many, but the fact that they're proving me wrong.
Yep.
I mean, kudos to the Seahawks. Let's be real. Won the Russell Wilson trade. So pretty much, either way, they're still going to get better the next couple of years. While they're just going to let the Broncos just sit and rot without no draft picks for the next 2 years. So good job to the Seahawks for that. But I think this is going to be a very close contested game because knowing that the Vikings secondary sucks, like they got a good pass, you got a good pass rush, but their just secondary is just horrible. And that's just that's the only weakness with the Vikings is their secondary.
That's why we're number one, they're number two because of that pass defense. I don't want to go through any of the other games, man.
Yeah, but
I've already been through it.
But yeah, so like another thing is too, which going to get you kept. We started off was the Eagles 11-1 start, and my God,
honestly, I wasn't really truly believing in them when they went like 10-1. The last game that made them go 11-1 when they faced the Titans and completely obliterated them.
Absolutely,
especially AJ Brown against his former team, playing angry.
Like that's
Tannehill was like, "Oh, you didn't have to do us like that." Oh, yeah, he did.
I mean, he was a man on the man.
He did not want to be traded from the Titans, and he was angry, so he played angry.
And when you piss him off, I mean, you lose your job. I mean,
he played so well that the GM got fired.
So
even though the team has a winning record and it's going to the playoffs, they wanted to kill this man.
Yeah,
and they failed at that. They failed at just ending AJ Brown.
But AJ Brown says, "Nah, let's say hold my beer.
Hold my beer. I'm gonna get your GM fired." He got the GM fired.
And it's people someone give him shit for that. It's just like, first of all, he even said himself, like, I always want to say this to Titan, but we saw that when you look at video footage, Mike Vrabel was fucking frustrated. And who could blame Mike Vrabel? I think Mike Vrabel was probably one of the probably the better head coaches that the Tennessee Titans ever had. From my memory.
But the problem is though, why was Mike Vrabel mad at AJ Brown though? Because he was playing well, even in the playoffs.
No, he was frustrated at the fact that Brown was traded because him and AJ Brown have a close relationship.
Yeah, I would have been frustrated too. But the problem was, I don't know if there's a disconnect between the GM and AJ or the owner and AJ. Don't know what happened there, but we fleeced them to get him. We didn't fleece them hard enough to where they were terrible.
But I mean, but I mean, look, I mean, hopefully speedy recovery for Treylon Burks because man, that kid got hit hard, and I feel bad for that kid.
God.
I mean, the fact that he saw Hank getting hit hard, it's so
that hit makes me cringe.
Because I mean,
dude, man.
Hey, before we go any further, can we just talk about how the fucking Steelers are going to find a way to fucking not avoid a losing season? What the fuck? Like, we had this team not like making the well, we know that the team's not making the postseason, but the fact that they're going to find a way to avoid a losing season, it's like, are you shitting me?
The thing is, they're gonna find a way to get in a losing season, and they're
gonna find a way to sneak into the postseason. Like, fuck.
Not really that. They're gonna find a way to keep Tomlin because of that.
Yeah,
Tomlin's not as good of a coach as he used to be. He's not.
No, I mean, look, we've seen some good improvements. Don't get me wrong. You know, Kenny Pickett's finally actually know what we're seeing, what we're getting out of him. Even though it took some time.
Yeah, you hit on Pickett. Great.
I mean,
but
George Pickens.
The one thing holding you back was Tomlin. He's held you back the last 2 seasons.
Not just that, too. The offensive coordinator.
He was a great coach when he came in. He inherited a Super Bowl team, but other than that, he's been to multiple AFC Championship games.
Just really couldn't give her that hump because I mean, remember, he still got Ben Roethlisberger and just other couple washed players. Like you still had
He's a good coach. He's not a great coach, but the problem is now his coaching decisions. It's just been him in the ass.
It's been very questionable.
Too many times.
I mean, if you think about it, they should. Let's be real. They should have lost against the Falcons, but the Falcons decided to shit themselves. But the Falcons,
they should have. Yes, you're right. They should have.
But somehow they got very lucky against the Falcons. And I'm talking about the Falcons too. Look, I'll give the Falcons a lot of fucking credit for a team that's 5-8 in one of the worst divisions of football. Like for a team that we thought was supposed to be a rebuilding team, the fact that they're on a fucking could be a postseason team with an under 500 record is surprising.
Man.
Like, what the heck? Like I said, this is why I love the NFL this year. It's been very unpredictable the last, well, we haven't seen this unpredictability in quite some time, if you really think about it.
We've seen, okay, this is, the first time it was unpredictable, right, was last year.
Yeah.
Didn't expect the Eagles to make the playoffs. Didn't expect the Bengals to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Didn't expect other a plethora of stuff last year. This year, there's a lot of stuff too. I expected the Rams to be bad. So,
well, yeah, that was the only thing we kind of expected because, I mean,
yeah, we expected the
I
Rams
mentioned like we've been in that similar situation once before.
We were in that situation, period, dude. We were in that situation where we spent so much on a championship team only for it to backfire. We had to get rid of half the players, and then we sucked.
I mean,
for some reason, we pulled a playoff spot out of our booties twice out of 3 years.
Don't know exactly how that fucking happened, but I mean,
first time it was Nick Foles, and then the second time Wentz just magically started playing better late in the season.
Like,
and then 2020 happened, and we.
Oh, don't remind Eagles fans, please. Let's just erase 2020 from our memories. But you know, kind of get you out the cut. I also talked about a little bit for Clemson Tigers a little bit. We've seen. I think that we talked about this already, but I think I want to kind of.
Here's what I gotta say about the Panthers, or not the Panthers, the Clemson Tigers. You lost to Clemson and Notre Dame. Or not Clemson. You lost to Carolina and Notre Dame.
Notre Dame was that's still.
And you expected a playoff spot? You expected a playoff spot? Come on.
Look, I mean, look,
you didn't deserve that playoff spot. I'm glad you got snubbed. I'm glad. Because look, you don't deserve to. You not only do you lose to Notre Dame, you get blown out by Notre Dame.
Yeah,
on national goddamn television
for a team that we all knew that they struggle against ranked teams, and also ties.
Yeah, tried to pass. You did pass heavy offense,
and that's like I said, we talked about this behind the scenes once before, but I even talked about it partially. Was DJ Uiagalelei going into the transfer portal after getting benched in the title game?
Good. He sucked. He is the terrible quarterback. I'm done waiting on him to get better. Oh, he'll get better. His confidence is just shot. When is he going to get better? We're late in the season. When is he going to get better?
I mean,
it's been 2 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, and you also think, yeah.
When is your confidence going to get better, kid?
I mean, the fact that basically, in other words, he pulled a Carson Wentz basically in college football.
He's basically Carson Wentz, but in college.
And Caleb Klubnik, and I've been kind of watching this kid kind of close. I didn't really receive his high school tape, but this year with Caleb Klubnik, I think Clemson's got a really good. Let's be real, probably one of the better quarters.
That's another reason why I'm glad he hit the portal window. The backup's better.
Even though, like, Cade can move, but he's more of a pocket passer. And it's just, like, even though it's a short sample size for Cade Klubnik, but even though for a guy that's... First of all, you got outbeat by a true freshman in the ACC title game, and for the love of God, like, if I'm Dabo, I say just keep riding the hot hand at this point with Cade.
Yeah, keep Cade. Keep Cade in there because Cade's a better quarterback than DJ ever was.
Because I mean, it's just like, oh Jesus Christ! I mean, you guys, you have to realize how bad DJ truly is.
Oh my God! My aunt, who's a Clemson fan, who got me to Clemson. Oh, be patient. He's gonna get better.
Yeah, exactly. When?
I asked her this. It's been 2 seasons. When was he gonna get better? Because here we are, season's over. We're out of the playoffs for the first time, and I don't know how long.
It's been a long time since the last time since we missed the playoffs.
And this kid did not get better.
Because
I can't tell you how dumb a team's going to be to pick this guy up.
I mean, shit. You look at Cade Mack.
should have gotten better over the season. It hasn't gotten better. It's gotten progressively worse.
Worse. And he's played scared. I mean, if you looked at
He's played
if you looked at
scared.
his stat line against Carolina,
Not only, yeah,
he went
yeah.
8 for
And here's the
29
thing.
for under 100 yards.
Yep. And here's the thing about that. He's played scared for 2 seasons, his freshman season and his sophomore season.
And this dude's a junior.
Usually quarterbacks for Clemson get better in their sophomore season. Deshaun Watson got better in his sophomore season.
Sure.
Trevor Lawrence got better in his sophomore season.
We thought DJ should be the next one up? Absolutely not. And
The only difference between those 2 quarterbacks and Deshaun is that he's not a pervert.
Yeah, well, that is true.
Only reason.
And you got to think this too. And Clemson has produced some really good NFL talent over the years. I mean, Mike Williams, Hunter Renfrow. But Mike Williams, on the other hand, DeAndre Hopkins, for the love of Christ.
D-Hop played for Clemson?
D-Hop,
Oh, wait, yeah, he did.
D-Hop was a Clemson Tiger.
Oh, wait, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. I forgot.
A lot of people don't remember that.
I don't remember that. Yeah, I'm happy knowing
it's
that.
It's very surprising.
I forgot D-Hop played for us, man.
But in the end, though, I mean, look, Dabo could look. If you're going to blame Dabo, look, Dabo could do so much as a head coach. I mean,
here's the thing. I knew eventually the team was going to bottom out because they had lost their top quarterback to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I expected it last year. It didn't happen. We made the playoffs, but we got bounced first round. I kind of expected more regression.
Absolutely.
I expected more regression, but I didn't expect the quarterback to have lack of confidence throughout the entire year, which angered me.
Like how you're supposed to have, and don't get me wrong though. I mean, we still had a good winning season, but just could have been a lot better than what we.
But here's the thing:
in college, I mean, you had to play.
In college, you had to be borderline perfect to make the playoffs.
It's like that's kind of
perfect. Here's what has to happen for you to make the playoffs, right? Winning record, yes. Wins against winning teams. However many points you win matters.
Absolutely.
We didn't win good enough. That's the problem.
In certain games, yes. I mean, and this I tell people this too. Like, yeah, I know people are going to give us flack because we play in the ACC, which is, I would say, not a terrible conference.
I feel like the ACC is incredibly weak.
It is, but I mean, we have some decent competition. Like a lot of people, like I have to give Wake Forest a lot of fucking credit. The fact that they took us to 2 overtimes, and then we finally put out a win out of our ass over Wake Forest. Like that's one of the better teams we played. Like I would put this on record. Like I had this losing to Florida State
I was thinking early on when we beat Wake Forest. Okay, we might have a chance at the playoffs. It was early in the season though, so I couldn't.
Was. I think it was like 5 games in. I think it was.
It was like 5 games in. We were like 4-0, going to be 5-0. We had an undefeated record, and DJ was actually looking pretty competent at that time.
Yeah.
For some reason, late in the season, we just crapped it.
He just turned it off.
He turned it off. He didn't turn it on. He turned it off. He had it on early in the season. He turned it off. And apparently he had lack of confidence, and we had to trust him because he had, we'll have confidence.
It's been 2 fucking seasons, for the love of God. The dude's a junior, for crying out loud, in his 3rd year in college football. Like, what do you
then again, it's his 2nd year, but his 3rd year in dang college, 3rd year in Clemson. He should have learned under Trevor Lawrence last year. He should have.
Not
last year, 2 years ago. He should have learned under Trevor Lawrence.
But I mean, now I will say this too. I will blame a little bit of the coaching staff because I mean, some of the play callings has been, I would say, called in question because.
Yeah.
But that's mostly on DJ.
But what can you do with a quarter? But what can you do with a quarterback who's scared to throw the ball?
That is true, and we've seen DJ. If you have not watched this guy throw, he is forcing passes that are not even fucking there.
Yeah, like he forced so many passes. Like, dude, just run. That's what you're best at. Just run.
Or hand it. Because I mean, right now the leading rusher was Will Shipley, for crying out loud. He was pretty much the hot hand for most of the damn season.
They were in like the top 10 in rushing.
I think it was like top 10 or top 5 in rushing.
And then they were they're in the lower half in passing because they were bad at passing.
Because we didn't have a receiver there until like the last game of the year or that title game to have over 100 yards. in a season.
But here's
Like,
the thing: you wouldn't even know he needed a receiver because we have a quarterback. Well, we had a quarterback. Thank God that he's in the transfer window. Who didn't know how to pass the ball?
and this is what with Cade Klubnik too, which like I said, I mean, with Georgia, when we saw him at Georgia Tech, against Georgia Tech, an opening night,
he was good.
Like the kid's got like you would be surprised of how strong this kid's arm.
And can I tell you something? That first game, I was done with DJ. All right, we put this new kid in. He's really good at passing the ball. Let's keep him in for the rest of the season.
And then in the next game, GJ balls out like it's nothing's like, what the
DJ
fuck?
balls out like, where was this? And then the next game, he's playing like he's scared again.
And ever since then, it's just been nothing but. I mean, like, and I tell people, and I put this on record too. Like losing to South Carolina, that's gonna rub me the wrong way even more. How the fuck?
That's a rival. That is a rival, and we couldn't even beat them.
And the fact that it's on, for bragging rights in the state of South Carolina, you fucking shit the bed against 1 point.
I have friends in South Carolina who are Gamecock fans, and I could not hear the end of it for a week.
I mean,
of it,
and for good reason. They have the right to do that because they beat us.
We had the right this year by losing to them to be the punching bag.
And the fact that you give and look, I've been never very high on Spencer Rattler, but the fact you let this man through almost 400 yards on top of your heads,
Dave. All I've got to say though about this quarterback they have a dog. They do. They have a great quarterback.
Even though he has been, I would say, Spencer Rattler has been in, well, I would say some controversy, but he's one of those, I would say, controversial quarterbacks that, people kind of give him a lot of shit.
For me, he has that cockiness to him, and that's what people hate.
Yeah, it's just like,
but the thing is, I can get past that because, okay, you're cocky. Who cares? You have the right to be cocky when you win. Yeah, you have the right to be.
Absolutely.
He's like the Conor McGregor of college football.
Oh yeah, I can
he's
definitely see that.
But
he's got some talent to him.
Talent.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because I mean, because the thing is too, like you would think for a guy who was at Oklahoma and thought actually would play pretty well. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And here comes Caleb Williams, who I would think could be is a potential Heisman winner. Goes to balls out, plays better than him. Then we seen, him transfer to South Carolina, which at the time, like them, it was like, really? But knowing that Shane Beamer, look, I'll give Shane Beamer a lot of fucking credit though, and I fucking hate to say this, but he outcoached better than Dabo. I fucking hate to say that. It sucks.
He did. They got a good coach. He outcoached Brian. He did outcoach Dabo.
It's like who could ever say that? Let's be real.
Yeah, he did outcoach Dabo Swinney. He did, but the problem is that we just beat ourselves in that game.
Yeah, we just shot ourselves in the foot. Both offensively.
We just shot ourselves in the foot repeatedly. Same thing with the Notre Dame game. We just kept shooting ourselves in the foot. The lack of run. The passing was bad because DJ sucks.
Like the dude just got a noodle arm.
He sucks. He's terrible. And I bet you if he gets drafted to the league, he's going to be a bust.
I mean,
he's going to be a bust.
I don't think
I see bust in him. I don't. I think.
I mean, if I really had to give him a projection where if DJ decides to go to the draft, I think not, like later round pick between rounds 5 through 6 at best.
Y'all better draft him as a backup. You don't draft him as a starter.
There's no way.
But some stupid team is going to draft him as a starter, and he's going to be a bust. I hate to say it.
And this is where I think too. I'll give, like I said, even though it pains me to give Shane Beamer a lot of credit, I think also I think when Rattler went to South Carolina, I think that really helped with the confidence level because Well, what I've been hearing,
I see them, and it pains me to say this. I see them as one of the top 4 teams.
I mean, think about it too. They played in a competitive SEC
Actually,
conference.
One of the top 12 teams because they're expanding the playoffs to 12. Oh, that's going to definitely benefit Clemson because they could literally suck and they'll still make the playoffs next year.
Yeah, it's basically, if you can put this in comparison, it's basically what the MLB did for the wild card at extra spots. It's just basically
we could literally kind of flounder a bit and still make the playoffs, like the Phillies. Kind of flounder a bit, still make the playoffs somehow.
Yeah, and stumble in, but That kind of leads to my next thing, national championship predictions, because we're down to 4 teams. It was TCU, Michigan, Ohio State, and Georgia. Now, a lot of people are going to say, Georgia's going to repeat, but I have a couple dark horses I think that can win it all. One could be Michigan, and it's going to be two is TCU.
If Michigan ramps up the pressure, they basically have the same defense as the Philadelphia Eagles and the pros.
I mean,
they have zone defense. That's what they have, and I've seen that. But they have a scheme to where it doesn't work unless you have the pass rush.
And they got a good pass rush too.
The Eagles do. Like the Eagles.
They just know how to adapt in certain situations.
Yeah, but yeah, they're you have different situations because the college is faster than the pros.
They're not
getting paid for it. So they have more heart to play well on that side of the ball and on both sides of the ball, really. They have a great quarterback who I think should have been in the Heisman running, but he's not. With the Michigan quarterback, I forgot his name.
JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy. He is a great quarterback. I see him in the Heisman. I see him in the Heisman running next year. I do see that.
Because right now I've seen I think Caleb Williams. I mean, for me that was an obvious choice for the Heisman vote. Stetson Bennett, though, from Georgia is an interesting one. I think there's an argument that could be made.
Stetson Bennett, he's a really good quarterback. He's really good. Or they won't even be in the running for the playoff. They won't even be in the playoffs.
Or let's be real. I think the benefit is now we don't have to worry about, because let's be real. I think the committees, like I tell people this too, the NCAA committee is a bunch of Bama dick riders. This is the way that I say.
Honestly, we kind of just like. Bro, we kind of just sighed oh, thank God.
Oh, good Lord, because I feel like
here's the thing. The Alabama Crimson Tide were like the dang Patriots of college football. Always
just won't go away. That's the problem.
Why?
But
they even had a crappy season last year. They still get it. I'm like, what?
And there were some games that let's be real. Teams that and I'll give Ben some credit though. They know how to produce some really good NFL talent. Don't get me wrong.
Thank you for Devontae Smith. Thank you very much, Alabama.
I mean, shit, they got Josh Jacobs, who's going to be a free agent.
Josh Jacobs, who's a dog. I don't know. I mean, I kind of get why he's a free agent. Get out of Vegas. Get out of there now. Don't even resign. Walk. Go.
You deserve to get paid, man. I mean.
Also, you deserve to be on a good team, not a dumpster fire. Get out of there now.
For a team that's so cash strapped, it's really bad. But
get out of there before you burn to a crisp. Get out of there, Josh.
When I looked at the 4 teams of the playoffs, look, I knew Georgia was going to be the number 1. Let's be real. I think they're a much better team than Alabama. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if you're a diehard Alabama. You have to look at who has the better talent. Now, granted, look, Georgia, you can make the argument also produces really good NFL talent. So. Let's be real. It's just like we knew that. I think Georgia is, most likely it's going to repeat. But like I said, with Michigan, have you looked?
Here's my prediction. Right, ready for this?
Shoot.
We're getting Georgia, Michigan national championship.
I could see that.
I feel
like Ohio State I don't know if Ohio State has the person because they lost one of the top receivers.
Every time Ohio State's in the playoff. They've been one and done every single time. And I don't really trust Ohio State. I don't.
Because not to mention they lost their top receiver their top receivers declaring for the NFL draft. So he's not going to be, that's a huge blow to them. And, I like CJ Stroud. I thought he had a really solid season this year. Now, granted, people like we said, we knew the ACC's weak, but you have to make the argument that Big Ten just has a fucking cupcake, walk in the park type of schedule for most of their teams. To me, look at Penn State, for the love of Christ. We thought this team was going to be bad, but no, they decided to have a cupcake schedule and decides to be above 500 team, which is shocking to say the least. But like I said, that's just kind of my biggest nitpick with the Big Ten,
and that's the reason why nobody respects the ACC or the Big Ten. Because it's always been Clemson dominating, and then the Big Ten is just terrible.
You either have Michigan or Ohio State pretty much dominating that division, that conference.
Yeah, and then you have Penn State, who's kind of mid.
Yeah, it kind of flounders here and there.
Rutgers
kind of stinks.
They either win like 9 games to 10 games
and they get a bowl game. That's all they're going to get.
And they get a bowl game every single year. They don't go into the playoff. They just get a bowl game.
And, I mean, Rutgers stinks. I mean, the only time that Rutgers ever good, they're good in college basketball. That's pretty much about it.
Honestly, they do Jersey injustice.
Oh,
they do us injustice.
North Jersey, most likely.
They do Jersey, the whole state of New Jersey. No wonder the state doesn't like you. It's only North Jersey that likes you.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, though, it was still been a good season. Look, we know the SEC is pretty much the number 1 conference in college football. I think we all know that. For me, number 2, I think the closest one to be competitive as the SEC was the Big 12, and I feel the Big 12 has really shown to be. Let's be real, probably one of the most competitive divisions or conference that we've seen. Look at TCU. I could imagine a team that could have 4 losses on their schedule. But what happens? They somehow pull out a win out of their ass. Look at fucking against Baylor. Who pulls off a 2-second field goal?
It wasn't even 2 seconds. Here's the thing. It was like a no-huddle field goal. It was like I've never seen that. Off? Here's the thing. I've never seen that in football in my life.
No, that's impossible.
Never seen that happen. Where it was like a no-huddle offense, but it was like for a field goal. You had like 10 seconds left. All you did was burn 5. You have 5 seconds left. You snap the ball really quick. As time's expiring, it goes through.
I mean, good. Exactly how?
You couldn't write that better than that.
No, like if you play Madden,
that's how lucky that was.
But I mean, look, like I said, I don't think TCU is nothing special, but they just play really good, solid football for a team that, let's be real, had shitty quarterback play the last couple of years. The coaching hasn't really been the best, but
the receiving core has been kind of iffy.
But they got
last 5-6 years.
Good Lord, yikes!
We drafted one of them,
and it turned out to be a bust. But thank God for Howard to make that.
Thank God for the trade.
But the next thing, going back to the NFL, because I did kind of talk about this, Jalen Hurts for MVP. I think it's going to be very close.
You can make a strong case, and I am sick. I am sick of the national media. I'm sick of them. You don't have him winning MVP, but you have Mahomes, who has worse stats for MVP. Are you kidding me?
It's ridiculous. And it's funny, even though Stephen A. Smith, I know we give him a lot of shit.
Stephen A's been back and Hurts in the Eagles. He's the only one I like.
And not just him, Emmanuel Acho, a lot of people don't remember. He was an okay player for us, but even though he wasn't,
he was trash for us, Rob. Trash.
Even though as an analyst, he has some horrible takes, but
he's
another guy that's been back.
For me, he's kind of 50-50 on takes. When it comes to him covering the Eagles, he has his obvious animosity towards the Eagles, but he doesn't choose them. But the other takes he has, they're pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, he's not a bad analyst.
Joy Reid, for those who don't remember, she was part of the Coward Show. She's been a Jalen Hurts day oneer.
Joy Taylor.
Yeah,
Joy Taylor's been back. She's been back. Here's the thing. I like Joy Taylor. When she speaks her mind about teams, she actually does a lot of research on these teams. You can tell she does research. And you can tell she speaks based off of facts.
And she also said too. I mean, look, yes, I know the touchdowns. I know Hurts is like 2 or 3 touchdowns away or behind Mahomes, but she also says, the QBR, the completion percentage, and all this stuff.
She goes in depth, and that's what I like about her. She looks at the QBR. She looks at everything else that makes him better.
And the fact now, she also did say the only thing that's going to come down, and she also settled that and that's also part of another question: is Jalen Hurts a franchise quarterback?
Yes.
I mean, what else can you do?
Yes.
No, she said no. As much as I love Joy Taylor, but the one thing I think can separate that can really settle it. Can he win a playoff game? That's the biggest question mark Can Hurts
That's what's going to come down to. Can he win a playoff game? Can he bring this team to
to a
where
Super
they
Bowl?
look like they belong to be at? And that's the Super Bowl. Can he bring this team another championship? That's going to play a factor.
If that's the case, if he does that, then
Because look at the reason why that Carson Wentz lost the MVP. He got hurt. He didn't lead the team to the playoffs. Well, he did technically lead to the team to the playoffs because he clinched in that game and got hurt. But it was Nick Foles the entire time for that run. If Carson Wentz stay healthy and
I think we still could have won the Super Bowl.
Dominated. Not just that, he would have won MVP.
Oh, absolutely.
He would have won MVP that year, and
it's just very unfortunate.
And also a whole different trajectory would have went on. He would have dominated the league.
History could have been a lot different.
A whole lot different if he stayed healthy. But I digress. I digress though. Let's go back to Jalen Hurts. He's been managing to stay healthy through the entire season so far. Knock on wood.
That too, and also though this kid's work ethic is second to none for a guy that,
dude. Every time somebody mentions the record, he goes, "I don't care."
I don't care. AJ Brown,
and that's the thing. That's what I liked about the quarterback. When they said, "How does it feel to be 5-0?" I don't care about that. We're 5-0. Who cares if we're 5-0? We're looking at the game ahead. And that's what I like about this kid. Jalen Hurts knows the mindset.
I mean, this is what happens when you play, and I think this also extends to the fact when he played at Alabama, I think he kind of developed those leadership qualities during this time at Alabama.
And I'm telling you, when he played with Alabama, I'm like, I bet Nick Saban is the reason why he has that mindset. Nick Saban.
And, unfortunately, his junior year didn't really turn out to what he wanted to do. Unfortunately,
it's because he got benched for it wasn't that he was worse than Tua. It was that Tua was the hot hand at that point. And the team trusted Tua more than they trusted Hurts. It was a trust thing.
Yeah,
and that's why he decided, I'm gonna walk. I'm getting out of there, going to Oklahoma,
and really dominate at Oklahoma.
Improve my draft stock. He was the second pick. What was he? The second pick in the draft. He was a second rounder. He was like the
53rd overall.
He was a high second round draft pick for us.
Now, granted, I was one of the many few. I was very skeptical. I was like, really?
I was like, I'm like, they're really going to pull Packers. They're pulling the Packers.
And that is another good point too. His dad was also a great coach for him as well. So he has a lot of good coaching around him throughout his entire career.
His dad also instilled that mindset in him too. But I feel like
this is the crazy part too. I love about Hurts. Like you got to realize how strong this kid truly is.
The guy is super strong.
And I actually watched a documentary on him. Like his outside of football, he was a power lifter. He was like doing deadlifts.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? When he actually those bars, those weightlifting bars.
Yeah, like
that the power lifters use.
Yeah,
that thing is steel. Right?
Yeah, that's 45 pounds without the plates.
And that thing was bending. It was bending.
Like people
steel.
Like it's just like Hurts has a strong body. For a guy of his size, you would not be surprised. You'd be surprised.
And that was over 500 pounds.
Like this kid is strong. and this is why a lot of times too. And how it just and the fact that look, I know Hurts and this is one thing too with Hurts going from like last year. Say, look, I think this is kind of with the mindset. And I think kind of Cerny kind of talked about. Said, look, even though like I didn't really have the greatest first full year starting, let's try to improve. And we saw him like clean up his mechanics. Like he got stronger without actually losing any speed.
Here's what really got me with this. Last year he sucked at the deep ball because he didn't know his own strength. That was his only gripe. I knew it was gonna be fixable. He kind of overthrew players a lot. I commend him for trying to throw the deep ball, but the problem that I saw that he didn't know his own strength. He was too strong when he threw the ball. He kind of, lessened his strengths. and now he can throw a perfect deep ball. He's throwing a lot of perfect deep balls. One, AJ should have caught, but it got intercepted. I digress.
But I mean, so it's
but that was a huge step up from last year.
And good point by Jerry too. It's also about his timing was not as sharp as it is this year.
His timing was also bad too. Also, another thing that I noticed that he got better on, he gave himself time in the pocket to look at reads, see who's open. Last year, he was just throwing to the first guy who sees.
Like he just forces it, and
he's not. Hold on, he's not looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. He was just looking at 1, 2. Oh, let's go back to 1.
Absolutely. 100%. And the fact that, and this also stands coming back to, when traded for AJ Brown, and I feel like that's one key piece, even though you got Smith and Watkins, that's great. But getting a guy like AJ Brown, I think like I said, I think has really helped Jalen Hurts' development.
True, because he played with AJ. He played with him.
And he's got a good personal friendship. And the fact that AJ's still 24 going to his age 25 season next year is fucking insane. Like, you would thought this guy was like in his late 20s. But no, AJ Brown's
honestly looks 30. He doesn't look 20. He doesn't look our age. He looks 30. Like,
what? And, but I mean, overall, though, I think I'm really impressed. Bro, I'm very happy with Howie finally actually correcting some mistakes that we really need to correct.
I'm happy Howie corrected the mistakes at receiver, at defense. Also, I'm happy with Jalen Hurts for nutting up and improving after last year.
And he's just shutting up the doubters.
Shutting up the doubters. He shut me up. Like, I'm a believer now. I'm not even a doubter anymore. I'm a believer.
Absolutely.
In Jalen Hurts. I believe he's our franchise guy now. I believe it.
I mean, at this point, but yeah. But going forward, the last couple things I want to kind of talk about is we got some MLB stuff, mostly in the Phillies.
Did you see the Trey Turner? Yo, Rob, did you see the Trey Turner?
I have not.
Presser? He said a lot of things. I'm going to talk to you about it. There's some things that I did pick up on that was awesome to hear. He didn't sign with Philly because of the money. He signed because there was like a family.
Yeah, that's
within the team. Within the team, they played like a family. He wanted to be a part of that. That's what he said in the presser today. Also, his family, his wife is from Jersey, so it was more like
very good, and he's still good friends with Harper.
And he's friends with Harper.
Oh boy!
A lot of factors came in, and the reason why he signed made me even more excited for
because it's the same way with the 2019 Nationals where they were like that close bond that they had, and they won that World Series.
Didn't they have Schwarber in 2019?
No, Schwarber came.
He was with the Red Sox at that point.
At the time.
Yeah, at that point he was with Red Sox. That's right. But yeah, he was a part of that family-oriented 2019 World Series winning team. And also, I like what Dombrowski said. He wanted a player with that championship experience, and he was that guy.
And he's still young too.
He's young. He's like 20 something.
He's 29. He's going to be in his age 30 season.
Yep. And that's the thing. I liked it because he's a young player. He has championship experience from winning one with the Nationals.
As a good 5-tool player. So I mean,
great 5-tool guy. And they also asked him where do you want to hit in the lineup? Do you want to hit leadoff? He goes, I'm fine wherever. So we could see him wherever. Honestly,
so it's mostly because I've been seeing a lot of projected lineups with him. He's just he could be like I've seen one of him in the 3-hole, one in the 2-hole. So
I can see.
I think
here's the thing. Here's the thing. He said he usually hit in the top 3 in the lineup.
Which I'm okay with.
Which I'm okay with that. I'm okay if he leads off because he can hit. He can't only hit for power. He can hit for contact. Unlike Schwarber, who sacrifices hitting for power.
But I mean, and you also think it's too tired. We're in the era of baseball. Like batting average doesn't really no one gives a fucking damn about batting average anymore.
So with the shift, with the shift being
Gone.
and how the fans connected with the
with the team.
That's that's the Eagles. That's the Eagles. Never mind. But yeah, and he also said, I've seen how the fans get towards this team and how rowdy they got in the playoffs, and they made me want to be here. He goes, there were times where it was so loud he could hear it from another room on TV.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, he definitely, if he wants to play in this environment, he deserves to be here.
Absolutely. So
if he plays well under this environment, he deserves to be here. And I know he's going to play well. He's a good player.
I mean, so far, I mean, we're paying him only $27 million per season with that $300 million.
You had the Padres give him a better offer. He didn't even want to sign with them. He wanted to sign with us.
And fun fact, a lot of people don't remember, he was drafted by the Padres, and the Padres gave up on him. And look what happened ever since. I think the Padres karma is a bitch. But knowing that, and I'll talk about because that's the last thing we're going to talk about. But the other free agent moves that we made so far, we signed Taijuan Walker to a 4-year, $72 million contract to be a number 4, which I'm okay with.
I'm going to say
it's the money. The money is the issue with me because I feel like. But then again, Hunter Brody actually brought up a good point because he actually talked about this too. We're paying him $18 million a year, which is now the standard market for number 4 guys in the rotation, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, it's standard. It's standard to pay a guy that much for that. Yeah. Yeah, Mets are like, haha, you overpaid for a guy who played okay for us. Okay. Who cares if we overplayed? We got him. You didn't.
Not to mention too, you
lost your best 3-4 guy. We got him. So shut up.
And not to mention too, he was a 12-game winner for the New York Mets. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
He was great for them. He was awesome for them.
I mean, there were some instances where he had some moments where he kind of shit the bed, but I mean, what pitcher doesn't? You know what I mean? I mean, he's just an average guy. You know, you could have in the back end towards the middle to the back end rotation.
He's better than what we had in Gibson.
That is true. Oh. And not so much too. And Gibson just, Gibson
had that one fluke season and then he just sucked. Like,
but yeah,
he was even worse in the playoffs. Like, what the?
And then the next guy we picked up was Matt Strahm, 2 years, $15 million from the Boston Red Sox to be another lefty in that bullpen.
Honestly, I've seen Strahm play being up in New England. I've seen Strahm play quite a bit. He's really, really good. Sub-2 ERA, really, really good. Well, actually, sub-3 ERA because he had a 2-point-something ERA. He was really good for the Red Sox. He was one of their bright spots in that crappy season they had last year.
But yeah, so a few more things.
He was one of the reasons why they were hovering around 500 for most of the year last year before they bottomed out late in the season.
Absolutely. And the next, because I don't want to go into further because we have our next show coming up, the It's Running Podcast. Because let's be real, we got a lot of stuff to talk. If you like professional wrestling, we have a lot of shit to talk about this week.
Hold on. We got a question here I want to answer before we end the stream. How do we feel about
letting go
Eflin? Because he thought it was a year too late.
The way that I see it, it's like, when you decline the option, it's like, as much as I liked Eflin, I mean, I thought he was a decent guy, but
I felt like at that point when it was a year too late, I felt like it wasn't a year too late. I felt like he kind of already killed his trade value because we couldn't trade him.
Yeah, not
for anything. So we had to let him walk and then try to cover that up with the free agency, which we did. We got a good reliever out of this. In Matt Strahm. So
and then
God dang it! Stop calling me spam. I'm not on the stream.
Damn.
But here's the thing. Yeah, it was a year too late, but the problem was we couldn't trade him. He had no trade value.
And plus he's been hurt a lot too.
He's been hurt way too much. No team is going to trade for a guy who's been hurt way too much.
You'd be dumb enough to do that. But
here's the thing: Eflin's never been terrible.
He's just been mid.
His durability was called into question because he couldn't go past 4 or 5 innings every start. There was
But
like one or two games where he went 6, but like that's about
that's all
it.
he mostly. He's mostly, but
He was, but we should have used him as like a reliever or a closer. Because he did better in the bullpen than he did as a starter.
But is it really
but also his health was called into question. He was hurt.
It's just sister like
No,
Tyler said.
and the thing is too, the fact that he got hurt a lot. No team is going to trade for him. So we
they'd be
had
dumb
no
enough
choice
to
but
do
to
it.
keep him into free agency.
And and could be completely honest, I hope and wish nothing but the best of luck to Eflin in Tampa Bay. Because he's still got some good stuff. It's just unfortunately just really never panned out. It's just he had some really good moments with us during his time here, but it just wasn't enough to where we would actually keep him. And like Tyler said, his health was called into question. But at some point we were all kind of discussion. Like at some point it was time to let him walk because he was getting up there in age as it was. So he was not going to get any younger at the same time. So and that's why we, like I said, that's why we replaced him with Taijuan Walker. And this is the same thing with Gibson. Gibson just, like I said, had a fluke year. And Tyler knows me better than anybody of how much I keep ranting on this motherfucker at the same goddamn time.
Every single time you were like, trade him.
And
every time you said trade him, his trade value just went.
Yep.
We had no choice by the end of the season just to get rid of him in free agency and let him walk, and he walked.
Walked to Baltimore.
Dombrowski was in his bag.
And the fact that we spent shit
in his bag.
Like, and that brings me up another question. Are the Phillies done? For me, I don't think so. I think Dombrowski's going to find a way to get another few pieces.
I don't know if we're done. I don't know. I feel like we're not. I don't know.
I really don't think so.
We do need a fifth starter. You do need a fifth starter. But
I think Dombrowski's going to find.
And that actually, the thing is, they're going to bring up one of the kids. That's the plan.
And that was another thing I wanted to talk about this because I've been hearing rumors that it could be Adrian Painter who could be the number 5 guy in that rotation.
He's dominated the entire. He's dominated the entire way.
And because think about this too, you could have Wheeler, Nola, Ranger, Walker, and Andrew Painter.
That could be a decent rotation.
The rotation to think of.
That could be deadly.
Whew. Now, another thing is too, like another question, so we get out of here, and one more thing. Will Nick Castellanos bounce back? I think he's still definitely going to bounce back. It's just
for me, he had a fixable thing. I think the thing, and I talked about this with my aunt, who's also I have another aunt who's a Philly fan, not the Clemson fan, but another aunt. We were talking, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, the thing was that he was trying to do too much because he was trying to impress us.
Like,
yeah, he shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done too much.
Like he should just
play your game.
Like just be yourself. Be like what you were in Cincinnati. Like for the love of God.
Yeah, just be you. Don't try to do too much to impress us.
We know how good you really are.
Yeah,
yes, I know you're
how good you can be. Don't do too much for us.
It's
don't swing at everything. Just swing at your pitch, get hits. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it's just trying, and also that's mostly, and I think it was mental with him. I think, and also obviously he dealt with a couple an oblique injury, which is another thing that's been setting him back a little bit. It's just
what pains me about that, he was finally starting to come along a little bit, and then after the injury, he comes back and he tries to do too much again.
Yeah, it's just I think if I'm Kevin Long, I would at least have a sit down with him and said, look, you got a decent swing, just try to work with him, which I do think this coaching staff has.
With the guy, and I feel like Kevin Long will help with that. He's a great hitting coach.
The fact, let's be real, and with the Phillies and what they've done, gave a Thompson extension. Let's be real. I think Kevin Long deserved an extension. For right now, I think Dombrowski really, let's be real, really deserved that extension. Let's keep it real here.
He did. He deserved it. Honestly, Dombrowski, I loved what he did the last 2 seasons for us.
Good evaluating too at the same time. I mean, really think about it.
Great evaluating. Because I know last year we didn't make the playoffs, that was more of like an evaluation season because it was his first year here.
Absolutely.
He was like, let me evaluate where we stand, where we need to improve. He thought that Girardi was the guy. I don't blame him because he did give us a winning season, even though we missed. But then he saw there was a disconnect. He fired that coach. He brought up Rob Thompson as the interim. He became the full-time guy after making the World Series with us.
And
for me, that guy's a Charlie Manuel type.
And it's funny because even Rob Thompson came out and says, look, I was on the verge of retiring. However, the Phillies didn't come up with that offer. So history could have been a lot different but here we are.
It sucked if we let him go and he retired.
But
we missed our chance. We missed our chance. We missed our window to resign the guy.
But the fact let's be real. The fact we made it to the World Series with a team that we had, that was impressive. But the last
honestly, the way we floundered late in that season, and for us to make the wild card, I was thinking we're bounce off the wild card. And I've said this countless times, even on our streams when we were in the playoffs. I didn't expect the team to go that far.
But I mean, look, that's a positive. And the fact that let's be real, probably the most aggressive I've ever seen this team be in free agency at the same time. And and the last thing I want to talk about is, everybody did not pay attention to the news late last night. Xander Bogaerts signs an 11-year contract with the San Diego Padres. And I've actually made a video of this on TikTok. I know exactly how to feel about
this. And this was what 11:30, 12 o'clock last night.
Yeah, almost like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we were on 12 o'clock. It was around midnight when I heard the news.
About like 9 o'clock on the West Coast.
Because I woke up from a nap. It was like 12:30. I didn't go to sleep again until about like 4, like not even like 2 o'clock today. Because I was like, oh, yeah, I woke up at like 12 o'clock. I didn't go to sleep. I stayed up all night. But yeah.
See, no, this
how
is
I felt about it. I was like, good.
Yeah, get him out of there. But do the Padres really need another shortstop? Because you have 4. Tatis, Ha-Seong Kim, Bogaerts, and potentially Manny Machado. So the question is, where are you going to hell to put them? And then we're going to put Ha-Seong Kim at the same time. Like, what the hell are you going to do?
Ha-Seong Kim is more so a backup to Tatis. He wasn't really playing. I feel like it just added depth to the team.
And I don't know.
I feel like Park got even deeper in the depth chart.
Absolutely.
Which sucks because Ha-Seong Park was my God.
Ha-Seong Kim. And
he was good. Even against us, he was good.
It's just also, how about shout out to Masataka Yoshida going to the Boston? I'll give Boston a lot.
That was a good pick for them, but right now they're in rebuild mode. I feel like they're gonna tank for more picks. They're gonna
but other than
get some more assets to the team, build them up.
Absolutely.
I feel like they're a good farm system team because they know how to do the farm system, bring those guys up.
Absolutely.
They've done it before, but they're not going to be good for the next few years.
Nah, I mean, especially how competitive the AL East is.
I am telling you right now, I am a jinx to sports teams. Wherever city I live in. I live in Philly. All Philly teams suck. I live near Boston. They all suck. What the?
Except for the Celtics and the Boston Bruins.
Except for the Celtics and Bruins. That's it.
But
Patriots
other than that,
suck.
though, but with that being said, but before I know Tyler hasn't really been here as long, but if you have not heard, for those who are just coming in and I heard about our sponsorship, let SeatGeek kind of just take it away. Have you thought about saving money on tickets, whether it's sporting events, concerts, wrestling events, etc.? Use my promo code PhillySports at checkout to save $20 off your order. That is PhillYSports, Philly Sports, to save $20 off.
We got the hookup for you guys.
Absolutely.
Don't say we don't hook you up. We hooked you up.
But yeah, so use the promo code. That is all capital letters, Philly Sports in all caps, to save $20 off. Because let's be real, this has been like a long time coming for this channel. We've been working hard to get this partnership with SeatGeek. So, like I said, you get concert tickets, wrestling events, or sporting events. You use the promo code at checkout to use 20% to save $20 off. And yeah, I mean, but with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for the Philly Sports Talk Podcast Afternoon Show, episode 18. But we got, and then, you know, later in about 28 minutes, we got the It's Running Podcast, because this week we have a lot of shit to talk about it this week in pro.
Here's what I got. I got one. We got the minus the recaps. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things talked about. We usually get like 4 to 5. We got 8.
Dude, we have a lot of.
We got so much.
And then those who are fans of the It's Real to Me, we're adding the show recaps. If you're Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, and NXT. So obviously, I know this week I know Tyler kind of slacked a little bit. So
I missed Raw, I missed Dynamite, and I missed NXT. 3 other shows.
So obviously, this week we're not going to do the recaps like Tyler said. We're gonna take.
Oh no! I thought you said you got me covered for that.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I do. Like,
let's keep the recaps in.
Yeah,
but you cover those.
Yeah, because I've been watching. Yeah, so I got you covered on that. But
yeah,
with that being said, this is another episode. Man, 18 episodes of the show, man. It's been really fun to do these afternoon shows. Or, also make sure you hit that please hit that red subscribe button, because we are officially 93 subscribers away from 1,000. What the fuck,
dude?
Are you kidding?
Dude, I cannot believe we've worked this hard, this long, and we're at 1,000 already. This is great.
And
great
we still
stuff,
got
man.
Many days.
Thank y'all for the support. You know,
absolutely.
Thank y'all, because we couldn't do it without you guys.
And we're making some good moves. Also, like I said earlier, you want to check out some Philly Sports Talk Podcast merch? Link is in the description. Check out the Spreadshirt shop. Because you got guys.
Hey Rob, did you make the It's For Me merch yet?
Shit, I have not. But I'll get on that.
We gotta get that in line for you guys.
Yeah, we're gonna get that going as well at the same time. But so, like I said, we got a lot of merch options coming up. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fun.
We got mugs. We got
mouse pads. We got phone cases, mugs, hoodies, t-shirts, whatever the hell you need.
Hoodies, whatever.
Especially hoodie season. We got those. It's that time of year for hoodie season.
We got beer koozies too.
I think we got. I have to double check, but we also got backpacks.
We possibly got beer koozies.
So yes, we have a lot. So like I said, we're trying to make some moves on this channel, trying to get to grow for you guys. Because let's be real, we work here, and shout out to the Hardcore Sports Network to work with other people at the same time.
Great group of people that I've worked with here. Man, pleasure to be in that. Pleasure to be in that network. Pleasure to entertain you guys. It's been a pleasure, man, doing this, and let's just keep on going.
Absolutely. The road to 1,000 still continues where it's sitting. Make sure you shout out the content, and make sure you follow us on TikTok. The link is in the description for our TikTok, which I'm pretty much running the TikTok, which we posted some new videos on TikTok as well of some other breaking news and stuff like that. So if you can't catch it on YouTube, we got you in the shorter version on TikTok as well. And also follow us on Instagram at Philly Sports 97 as well. So that's just to represent not just me.
And also too, we have it on Facebook. So if you want to watch it on Facebook, watch it on Facebook.
Yeah, follow the Philly Sports Talk Podcast Facebook page as well. You'll see a lot more of these replays and stuff like that. But with that being said, we're gonna wrap it up here, and we're gonna get you some wrestling coverage, because we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Because good Lord, even though I know the show was gonna be floundering, but with that being said, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Wait, you thought what was gonna be floundering?
Some of our episodes, like you said,
some of them did flounder a little bit, but not much. But yeah.
But with that being said, we'll see you guys in the next half hour.
Peace.